All right, all right. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Let me know when you jump in here if you can see and hear me. I want to make sure that we are good to go. Looks like I see Justin. Hey, Justin, how's it going? Really excited for today's office hours. We are going to be doing something a little bit differently. Nothing too crazy. I mean, it's the same setup, office hours live, but I am doing it here on YouTube. And it is obviously meant for the Freelancing Freedom students. But as I mentioned yesterday in my live stream, my behind the scenes with Brad, I wanted to, I let you know that I wanted to put it up on YouTube. So for a number of reasons, one of the benefits was YouTube has a really good streaming quality. It's, there's not really any issues that comes along with it. I mean, that would be a small benefit. The biggest benefit, I think, is that it auto captions the video. So at the end of this, the video is recorded. So now we have an asset that we can use on my YouTube channel as a promotional mechanism for Freelancing Freedom, an educational thing, so that people who aren't a part of Freelancing Freedom, they go, what are these office hours with Brad, Freelancing Freedom? That was an interesting video. I'm going to check out Freelancing Freedom. So it's a way of educating, utilizing the education piece to get people to know for brand awareness. So that's kind of an internal background, reason why I would do this. Another major benefit is that I was getting to it is closed captioning. It auto captions the video. So at the end of this, YouTube has a really nice auto captioning system or a program, software, and it auto captions it. So as most of us know, Harold is in our course, and Harold is deaf, and he participates in everything and has been really working his butt off. So we make sure that we do our best to be accessible to Harold, because he comes and he shows up and he's pumped, but obviously he can't hear me. So I like to do this because it gives him the ability to take it all in and learn just as much as everybody here. So take a moment, say hi. I want to make sure that everybody is here and ready to go. Justin Maynard, how's it going? Alea, good to see you. John, hello. Mary Jo, good to see you. You've been consistent with these office hours, which is great. Nick, how's it going? Mike, love it. This is great. There we go. Like I said, I'm on YouTube, so I'm just getting used to the interface is a little bit different than just doing it on my phone. Also, I get this nice, pretty, office hours live lower third. It's just a nice branding piece, again, for brand awareness and such. So as we are aware, Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, I do office hours live for the freelancingfreedom.com students. So that is the people who have paid for masterclass or essentials. And in the future, as we develop the 2.0 of Freelancing Freedom, that would include those folks as well when we get there. Hey, Kate, good to see you here too. Okay, so let's jump in, and I'm going to answer some questions. I have 6 questions queued up. Totally fine sticking with 6 questions. I can fill a little bit of time if these get answered a little bit quickly. But I do encourage you to ask questions, because obviously you guys have questions. And I want to make sure that you ask them. It doesn't have to be tied to your name. It can be anonymous. I give you the option in the form. So the form is here. I think I can link it up. There we go. Ask a question. You can also do it in the live chat, but I like having a record of it in type form. All right, so let's jump in, shall we? Here we go. I'm going to pull up the results. All right. The first question I see here, I'm just going to split my screen so I could see your chat as well as the questions. Okay. First question. Goodness gracious. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Sorry. When talking about bridging, how do you know when it is time to transition a service to a product? Can you give an example of this transition? That is a really good question. And I have some notes so I can also go off of things. I was actually doing a live stream yesterday behind the scenes that touched on this, but I'm very happy to answer this question here as well in this format. So here we go. Now I can see everybody. Building a bridge is, Alea, that's Alea's question. That's a good question. Okay, cool. There are a couple of ways. When is it time to transition a service to a product? Really, you can do it at any time. There's no hard and fast rule. But what there is a higher chance of you not getting it right, not positioning the bridge right. Now, maybe let's start by defining bridge, because some of the students here might be new. Also, if we have any public viewers or viewers of the replay, they might go, what is a bridge? What are we talking about? Bridge is the term that I have been using for years now as essentially a product that acts as a passive income source in your business. So you have your service. We are service-based businesses, and a product that can sell itself and can make sales 24/7, 365 in theory. Don't require you to be there. Don't require you to be present to make the transaction happen. So you don't need to sign anything, any contracts, or get a check or deposit a check. You just have somebody see your product, read your description or your sales page. They go, this is a fit for me. It seems like it solves my problem. I'm interested. Buy. And then you get that money deposited. You could be sleeping on a Saturday. It could be Christmas morning. And they get instant access to that product. Usually this product, it's a digital product. It could be a book. It could be a physical widget. Some people get into physical products and sell them in different marketplaces. But my expertise lies particularly, at least where I'm most passionate, is information and digital products, such as an online course, a method in which that you can use to teach what you know, and something that is specific to your business. So it's important that you understand that the product is an extra offer, an offering of your business, not just some side project. You don't have your service-based business as a website builder or HR consultant or a virtual assistant, online business manager, and then all of a sudden you just have an online course about creating succulents. You could, but that's not within the scope of what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about how do you flesh out and grow and expand your offerings in your service-based business. So the bridge, the reason why I use that term, I'm really overexposed. I wonder if I can there we go. The bridge is the term I use. In service-based businesses, you have mountains and valleys. So the mountains, you're making money, you're feeling really good about your business. The valleys are those dry spells, and they worry you. They make you feel like you're not doing well, you're not getting client work. You feel like it's not consistent, and you don't know how you're going to be able to sustain a full-time living out of that pattern. So the bridge takes you across. Now, while you're in that valley, that bridge is that income source, that product that at first is small and then eventually can grow to the point where you no longer even feel the valley. So maybe your service-based work is having a dry spell, but your products are still selling while you're marketing your services or going to a conference or, laying the groundwork for another flagship service contract. And then all of a sudden, bam, you're getting paid for your service-based work as well. So it's a way for you to expand your offerings within your service-based business. So now that we know what a bridge is, that's my 101. I talk about it in Freelancing Freedom Masterclass and in my webinars and such. So that's a bridge. So Alea asks, when talking about bridging, how do you know when it is time to transition a service into a product? Can you give an example? Okay. Excuse me again. Great. So the time to transition your service to a product is when you feel comfortable with your service, with delivering that service. You've done it enough. There's no hard number for this. It could be 5 times, could be 50 times. There's no really hard number. It really depends on what you feel. If you feel that you understand your service, you understand the problem it solves, and there are repetitive factors that you realize, or maybe there are hesitations. Here's another way of thinking of it. People who don't hire you, when you ask them, why did you not hire me, in more or less words, when you submit a proposal or you have a client call and then they email you back and go, sorry, we decided to go in another direction. Ask them respectfully, why is it that they went that direction? The reason I'm getting close is I'm trying to get that exposure again. It's kind of annoying. And then most of the time they'll say, oh, you know what, to be honest, the other people, their price was more competitive, or they seem to address this part more clearly for me, or I have a previous relationship with them. Getting this data from them is really important, this feedback, because then you can incorporate that into your business and the next time you pitch somebody. But you can also use it as a way to bridge that gap, using that term again, to create a product that maybe finds a nice in between from your free offering or not getting hired at all. So from free to your flagship service. I want you to get paid really, really well for your service. I think that you should be paid premium for your time, because that's the most valuable asset you have. So your service should be really expensive, and that's relative. Really expensive to you is different for really expensive to me or somebody else. So relative term. So that product, your bridge, your online course, can be somewhere in the middle. In fact, it probably is. You buying Freelancing Freedom for anywhere from $500 to $2,000 is still way cheaper than you hiring me one-on-one to teach you the same thing. I'd probably charge like $5,000 for like a week of talking to you, because I could have used that time to build out a product or improve my product and, be with my family. So your time for your service should be the most expensive. So not everyone's going to be able to pay for it. So what about that in between? Do you just not have clients now? I don't think that's an option. I don't think that's realistic. So your product, your bridge, your online course, all the same thing, serves that need, bridges that gap. So what of your service, after doing it enough and going, okay, I get what I'm doing. I understand there's a repetition here. My clients seem to want this. The clients who don't hire me wish that I did this, or they're going to my competitors, or they're saying no for these reasons. Getting that information is important. So that's why I say it's important to start with service, because you get to put your feelers out there and understand why you're being hired, why you're not being hired, the value you offer, the actual problem you solve. You might think, my service solves this problem because I created a nice customer persona, and that's the case. But when you actually ask your client or your leads or the people who don't hire you, and they say, you're not solving my problem, which is X, again, in more or less words, you go, wait, that doesn't align with what it is that I thought I was solving. Then you can kind of reposition yourself. Now you've got a better way of improving your service. And as you start to realize this and collect this data and information, again, this comes with experience and just doing it, you start to realize, I think I can create something that bridges that gap. The people who don't hire me, they're hesitating because of, let's say, price. They don't know who I am, so they're not willing to invest $5,000 in my service. So that's where a product can really help you out and benefit your customers who aren't ready to pay premium for you yet. And your product, your course, it's repetitive. It's not a custom solution. So typically your service is customized. It depends on the client. It depends on the problem. It depends on the timeline, the budget. There's so much variability in your service. There's a reason why it's expensive. It's expensive in time and it's expensive in cost. Your product is one and done. It's not this variable thing that is customized for every person. You might as well just give them a service. It's something that addresses most people's needs. Most of the people who are your target customer, to be specific. So what does your product, your bridge, solve? And this is why if you just jump into that, you might not know that answer yet. Maybe you're really clear and you actually have a really good idea for a product, a bridge. Then you could start kind of working on that and getting the ball rolling on that. But most of us are still trying to figure out how to get fully booked, because that's a big problem. And you can work your way up to getting fully booked. And once your schedule is starting to get at capacity, that's when you really start understanding what you're doing, what you're solving, who you're helping. And from there, you can it kind of creates itself in a way. You understand it. There's more clarity. You're not forcing yourself to try and figure out what your great course is. It makes sense. You go, yeah, you know what? I can create a fundamentals course that's kind of an introduction into the value that I offer, but it solves all these problems. I don't need to be there to set up their WordPress site or to provide the templatized documents for getting a new employee on board or whatever. You start to see what it is that you can create a one-size-fits-all or one-size-fits-most product, and it solves their problem, and you can have that sold kind of, and we get into selling and everything like that later on down the line. But to save you from my rambling, to be very clear, the question was, when talking about bridging, which we defined, how do you know when it's time to transition from your service to a product? Can you give an example? So I kind of answer that in a lot of words, but I think that you need to start with service, start getting more booked, and understand the information and the data for the reasons why you get hired, why you don't get hired, and what problem you're solving, what problem you think you're solving, and the problem that you actually solve. Do they align? Do they not align? And from there, from your experience, from ramping up your services, this is why in stage 2, I call it systemizing your services. You can systemize and create a system that creates leads for you, that brings hot leads to your doorstep. Not literally, but you get the idea. And you can ramp up your services. You can ramp up your clients that way. We'll get into free offers and minimum viable offers and retainers and everything, the different ways you can offer your services. But there's a lot of work to be done there. And just jumping the gun and going straight to a course, it's going to take a lot of time. You might miss the mark. You're not going to validate it because you don't really know what you're creating. You don't have enough clients to pitch that product to. You don't have enough leads. You haven't worked your way up and started building a list. And it's kind of I just think it's the wrong way of going about it. You're just kind of skipping the line and jumping the gun and not really understanding where you're at with that. So after you've gotten more experience from offering your service, from getting yes and getting no from clients and potential clients, understanding what you offer, the problem you solve, the more information and experience you get from that, the better you can create your course, the more on point it can be. Because then you can, with crystal clarity, say, this is what I'm solving. This is who this product is for. It's not for the people who are going to give me my $5,000 flagship one-on-one service. This is for the people who need this. They don't know who I am yet, but they're willing to invest a couple $100s in their business or in their life or in their situation to solve this specific problem that this course exactly solves from beginning to end. By the end of that, they're going to be able to do X, and they will know that I am the person for the job. And this will create a better connection and a warmer lead and a customer who's more willing to pay you ongoing. So I hope that answers your question and maybe helps some of you understand bridging and the best time for bridging. It's a reason why I've been reserving it for latter stage 2 and stage 3. Stage 3 is called productizing your services. Stage 2 is when we start introducing it. So is this good? Cool. All right. Love it. Some more people in the chat here. Chris, good to see you here. Chris, looks like you made it in a time that you probably would prefer. You come to I always throw the behind the scenes kind of impromptu, and you're always a little bit disappointed that you never get there from the beginning. So glad to see you're here is what I'm trying to say. There we go. I wish that auto exposure wasn't a thing. Let me see. Cool. Okay, sweet. We're good. Let's jump into the next question. I will go to a shorter question and then I'll come back to this other one. It was a big question. I'm going to go to a more simple one. Okay, I like this one. Kate asked, I'm wondering about the best way to ask for reviews. Website, Facebook, email to me, and I'll post everywhere. Good question. What I like to do, and specifically what I liked to do when I was actively 100% doing service-based client work, was get the person or somebody from the organization, my client, the CEO of that business, or a colleague that I want the review from, a testimonial, a way for them to provide kind of a bit of kudos for what I did for them and my relationship with them, is ask them to leave a recommendation on LinkedIn. And then you can hunt down the link. I think in LinkedIn, you can actually provide your specific leave Kate a recommendation link. And what's nice about it is that it's on LinkedIn, it's timestamped and tied specific to that other person's account. So if you have a nice client or a client who works for like a really big business or organization or some that would give you clout on your LinkedIn, you can see, or your prospective leads can see, this person, CEO of such and such corporation, bigwig, said, working with Kate and her company, helped me in these ways. I would recommend hiring them, blah, 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 blah. So you didn't fabricate it. It's their words. You can't edit it. So it's a nice way of saying, here are the recommendations for my business. Here are the reviews for my business and for my personal character, or professional character rather. And it's real. It's legitimate. You can go to that person's account and see that they're the CEO with 3,000 connections and blah, 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 or just a colleague. So that's a nice way. And then from there, you can, because it's public information, you can use that as well. They gave you consent by putting it on your public LinkedIn page. So you can use that, screenshot it, copy and paste the text. Feel free to ask them when you get the recommendation, would you mind if I use this for our marketing materials, put it on our website, if you wanted to cover your bases. But I know in the past, for me, you posted it on my LinkedIn, it's public information. I'm just copying it from there. You might even be able to share it. LinkedIn might have a feature now where you can share that. If not, copy and paste it, screenshot it, put it on your website. So that's one way of creating a really legitimate way of getting a review. Also, Facebook now has a reviews feature, which is nice because you can, again, do the same process. LinkedIn is more of a professional network. Facebook is more of a personal network. So it depends on where you think that your leads and your potential customers will come from. If they're more likely to look at your LinkedIn page, that's probably a better place to get those reviews. Facebook might be a good place if Facebook's the place where it's happening for you guys. If you guys are posting, value and reaching out and getting leads and nurturing your potential customers on Facebook, then that's probably the place to do it. They can leave quite literally a review, a star rating, and a review. So that's something that you can do as well. Let's see, if you wanted to keep it simple. So what I like to do in the past and to encourage people to do is, when you're done, make it so easy for them to leave a testimonial for your services, for your business, for what you've done for them. So what I've done, and it's worked nicely in the past, and other people in this course have actually done it and like the idea, is when you finish the job, send them an email, like the wrap up offboarding email that says, thank you for working with us. It was a pleasure. Here's the documents, here's your, whatever it is that you're giving them, signing off, and your official goodbye. Thank you for working with us. Looking forward to working with you in the future. In that email, if you don't do that email, you need to do that email, even if it's a phone call. But this is why email is important. In that email, ask them for a testimonial. But what you can do is write the testimonial for them. So hear me out. You say, hey, John, pleasure working with you. Here are the documents that you can use to, to train your employees or whatever it is. Here's what it is that we agreed that you'd get. Pleasure working with you. Looking forward to serving you and your business in the future. Don't hesitate to call this number if you have any questions. Oh, and hey, before I go, I would really appreciate a testimonial from you because we value feedback and testimonials from our clients, and it's always a nice way of using that to help grow our business. You can word that more elegantly, of course, but you get the idea. And then say, I know you're busy, so I'm not going to ask you to just assume that you have the time to just write up a full testimonial. So I've went ahead and written one for you. If it looks good and it sounds like you're cool with it, simply reply with all good, just confirm it's good. Otherwise, feel free to use this as a template and change it up to save you some typing. You're also more than welcome to write your own, but I thought I would do this to save you some time. And I've had a client literally go, that's amazing. I just want to add this sentence to the end. And then that was it. Now I had a testimonial. So David says writing a testimonial for them to save them time is pretty clever. It's brilliant because if they don't like it, they go, nope, I don't like it. I'll write my own, or I don't want to leave a testimonial. And then you can ask them why, especially if you help them out. More times than not, they're going to say, love it. Sounds good. I just want to change these few things. Here's my changes. There you go. There's your testimonial, just like that. So those are 3 ways: LinkedIn recommendations, Facebook reviews. If you want to just do email, write the testimonial for them. And you could even write the testimonial for them for LinkedIn. You go, could you leave me a LinkedIn review? Yada, yada, yada. It'd be really helpful. It helps us grow our business. In fact, to help you out, I've kind of written one up for you. If you want to use that as a template, feel free to change it in its entirety or just wherever you want. So hopefully that was valuable. And places to display it, of course, LinkedIn is there, Facebook is there. If you have a website, you should always have testimonials and case studies, success stories. Really highlight the social proof and the positive things that your clients have said. Very important. Hopefully that was valuable to you, Kate, and to everybody. All right. Muhammad Fahad, how's it going, man? You look unhappy with my Bootstrap to WordPress course. It's worth nothing. Sorry you feel that way. If you don't want to be here, you're more than welcome to leave. All right. Let's see, a question here in the comments. Aurelian, hopefully I got your name right. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of briefly read your question there. I'm not really sure what you mean. Maybe you can clarify. And I'm going to move on to the next question here. Okay, here's a question from Aaron. I'm going to answer this question because Aaron was very excited for this office hours, realized he couldn't make it today, so he's going to watch the replay. And so I'm going to answer the question to make sure that he's able to watch this in the replay. Okay, I'm just going to turn this light down. It's so bright. That's a bit better. Okay. Hey, Brad. So as I grow into my trade, I'm starting to have a bit of an identity crisis, which is odd because I design brand identities. Interesting. I have recently started discovering that I really enjoy branding apps, creating their marketing websites and designing the actual app itself. What I'm finding, though, is that I am doing way more than designing. I'm consulting on strategy, marketing, design, development, solutions, managing the project. I see where this is going. I feel like I need to call myself something, but I don't know what. I don't want to be considered just an order-taking designer, but I also don't feel like consultant does what doesn't do me justice. Where am I in the spectrum of things? What will resonate with clients that I am an investment, not an expense? By the way, Aaron. Okay, Aaron, good question. I remember that stage. And new consultants, new freelancers, new service-based business owners will find themselves in this position. That is so bright. There we go. And so it is a tricky position to be. Mike says engineer. Alea laughs at this question. I still have no identity. It is a tricky spot to be. And I think this comes from you not knowing what you are. And you specifically said, I don't really know what it is that I enjoy doing all these things, but I'm doing so much more. I don't really know what I am. I don't feel like a consultant or whatever is the right term. So this comes as a result of you not really knowing what you are doing. Now, I'm not saying that as an insult. I'm just simply saying that you haven't spent the time to look inward and figure out what it is that you are doing. What are you doing with your life? Just kidding. What are you doing with your business? Who are you? What do you stand for? What are your principles? What are your boundaries? What do you love doing? What do you not love doing in your business? What's important in your business? What's not? What are the things that you can get behind? What are the things that you want to do? Where do you see yourself in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Is your business the same, or is this just a stage that you're in to a much bigger stage? So once you start to define specifically even your personal mission statement and your personal vision statement, same thing with your professional vision and mission. They could be the same. Typically in these cases where your business is closely tied with your life, you work at home or you do it so you want to work at home. Sometimes those professional and personal vision and mission statements can be one and the same. I know mine is very similar. It's almost a carbon copy of one and just I just added a little bit to it. So understanding who you are, your principles, what you stand for in your business, your boundaries, your goals, your expectations of yourself, your client, what do you love doing? What do you want to do more of? What do you want to do less of? All these things. And I actually mean that you need to spend time figuring that out. And I'm saying that not as a hypocrite now, because in the past I would have maybe said that, and I haven't done that myself. I had a bit of an identity crisis myself in the last about a month or so ago. Actually, immediately after the close of Freelancing Freedom Masterclass, as soon as launch was done, I didn't know what I was doing. I felt like, what am I doing? And it was a bit of a different situation. I didn't have a client I was doing everything and anything for. It was more specifically, I didn't really know what I was doing, what I stood for. So I spent time figuring out who I am, what my business is, what I'm trying to do. Hence, kind of some of these changes that you're seeing right now. This is a reflection, and I feel a lot more clarity, and I'm still working on that. But when you understand what you want, what you don't want, your boundaries, then your client starts to see that, because it comes up in the way you speak. It comes up in the way you create something. It comes up in the way that you define your boundaries, your scope in your contract, or you simply saying no to something, or you simply charging more for something because it's outside of the scope. So to come back to your question, you kind of said, I've recently started discovering that I really enjoy branding apps. So you're kind of answering that question a bit here. Creating their marketing websites, designing the actual app. So you like that part. Is it valuable? Is it, have you made money from it? Is it making money? Can you see doing more of that? Is there a bit of a demand or a need? Can you position yourself in a way that you can see that being a nice route for your business? If that's the case, then you're on to something. What you're finding is that I'm doing way more than designing. You're consulting on strategy, marketing, design, development, solutions, managing project. Do you want to do those things, Aaron? Now, this is where I wish you were here, because then you would actually tell me and we'd have a dialogue here. But maybe other people who experience the same thing might be able to answer. Do you want to do those things? If you don't want to do those things, then you need to quickly start saying no. You need to start defining what you offer, communicate that clearly to your client and your leads, and start aligning yourself with what it is that you offer and getting crystal clear and hyper-focused in your specialty. Now, if you like doing these things, if you actually like consulting on strategy, if you like marketing and development solutions, if you like that, okay, you need to be charging more money. And maybe you're saying, I need to call myself something, but I don't know what. All of those things I think require more than one person. In fact, they do require more than one person. I at one point took on anything and everything. And I did a lot of what it is that you're talking about. Designing apps, to consulting on strategy, to marketing, to design, to coding, to everything under the sun, to helping somebody hire a different developer. And I didn't know what to call myself. Once you start getting hyper-focused, it's easier to understand what you do, what you offer, the problem you solve. That's where it's important. If you like doing these things, you might be taking more of an agency approach. So if you realize that you can take on some big projects because you get a lot of you like the app design personally, but you get the strategy and the development solutions, managing projects, those pay the bills. All right. If those are acceptable to you, you need people to help you with that. You need to hire a virtual assistant, project manager, maybe a part-time project manager, depending on the budget of your projects. Have somebody who can help you with development, maybe someone in the course, maybe someone you know personally, and grow yourself a little team, a virtual team, an affordable team that you can kind of absorb into the budget of a project so that you could focus on the app design. So I don't want you to be an order-taking designer. I don't want anyone here to be an order-taking commodity. That's the term you're looking for. If you're doing anything and everything and you're just at the beck and call of your client, you're a commodity. You're not actually adding value. And I'm not saying this to hurt your feelings, but I'm saying this because your client is taking advantage of you, not because they're a bad person, but because you're telling them, I will do anything for you. You don't stand for something. You don't have a backbone. And they see that. And I don't want that for you, because then that determines the types of clients you get. It determines your burnout rate and it determines how happy you'll be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, if you're still doing it. I want you to be in this to win it. I want you, Aaron, to be one of the most important designers, app designers, if that's your thing, in the coming years. And I want that for everybody here, because everybody has a little pocket in the world that they can add tremendous value and really, really embrace their gift. So, Aaron, I hope that helps. I know I didn't specifically say you are an engineer or you are an agency owner. You have to work on yourself a bit. You have to define what you want, what you don't want. And if there are certain things that you do want to take on because they pay the bills, strongly consider hiring somebody to help you. And I know I've talked to you about this before, Aaron. You need to have virtual assistant or a virtual developer, a VA developer, a VA designer, somebody who can take the load off of you so you can spend time with your family. You have a full-time job as well, or a semi-full-time job as well, and you're freelancing. I'd like to see you start systemizing your services, which is stage 2. You, my friend, are in stage 2. Okay, so that's my answer to that. Let's see. Love the transparency lately, says Alea. That's awesome. Sean says, what if you're wearing multiple hats, web designer and developer? Ask yourself again, what do you want to do? Do you want to be the developer or do you want to be the designer? Do you like doing both? That's okay. You're allowed to do both. But if you find it's actually coming at the expense of you growing your business because you're going back and forth and your attention is split and your value is split, then you got to choose. Or you hire someone to help you. Are you the designer and you love the designing part? Get yourself a VA developer, or vice versa. I did that when I started out in my year 1 of full-time freelancing. I hired myself, not even a virtual assistant. I just hired a friend that I went to school with who was a really good developer. And I worked with him for about 2 years on every single project. And I paid him a lot of money, but I made a lot of money because I was able to get more projects while he was building that project, or this person was managing this project, and it was a beautiful thing. And I strongly recommend you consider incorporating someone into your team, which is something I talk about in stage 2. Mike, Brad, sorry, so much context in my question. I'm assuming you have a question coming up, Mike. Which I'll get to. Let's see here. Aurelian, it's so easy to see you doing this. It's hard to actually make this work for us. Me, I always go for the perfect work. I end up revisiting it over and never actually getting things done. How do you get out from this crap zone and manifest all that you say about business? I always find myself in a pit trying to get out from it because things just aren't good enough. I'm far from you. Your skill. One step at a time. You sound like you are jumping so far ahead, my friend. One step at a time. That's all it takes. The time's going to pass anyway. the time's going to pass anyway. So instead of giving up and getting so down on yourself, the time's going to pass anyway. So one step at a time, baby steps, small stages. This is why in Freelancing Freedom, I'm defining it into stages so that you're not jumping into stage 3 and wondering why this crap is so hard and you don't like it, because you haven't done stage 1 and 2 yet. So other than Aurelian, you got to start small, find what you love doing. And if you are in the course, then start from the beginning, introduce yourself, take a fresh start. If you're not in the course, strongly recommend you get on the waiting list so that you can get into the next, which is going to be 2.0 version of Freelancing Freedom. And I'm not saying that to sell you on anything. I'm saying that because I strongly believe in what it is that I'm doing. Okay, another question here. Oh man, I thought 6 questions was not going to be enough, but it clearly is. I spend a lot of time. I'm going to try and be a bit more brief with my next answer. Michael, see if I can answer this one easily. For Freelancing Freedom, you open registration at specific time periods. Why did you go this route versus having it continually available? I suspect it helps you be more available to students, but I'd like to know why this choice. Started out doing, there are 2 ways to launch essentially when it comes to products and courses. This is relevant to you guys, especially as you start growing and productizing your services eventually. Evergreen or live. Evergreen means it is always available. You could buy it at any time. And maybe you even have like a webinar that is pre-recorded and people can sign up. Essentials is that. You can go right now, go to Essentials, you can see the webinar, and then you get a timer for the time that you visited that webinar and emails on that timeline that sell you the course. After that, it closes down for a week and then the cycle repeats. So that's Evergreen. It's beautiful. People build businesses, really big e-learning businesses off of that model. And I am trying to get more into that because it really relieves the pressure off of having to do live stuff all the time. That said, live stuff is really impactful. And when you do live, especially if you are good at live, I like to think I'm good at it. I really enjoy it. It's like a performance for me. And the energy comes across even through a screen. People really connect. I can really address people's problems during the live launch sequence. I can answer questions in real time. I can be there for them. And if someone is in a stage where I can see that they could be a good fit, but maybe my material isn't convincing enough for them, it's easy for me in real time to convince them. Live launches, they create really big surges of income. So for me, I've been doing that for a couple of years now, 2 to 3 times a year with Freelancing Freedom. And it creates really nice big surges of income so that you can go, okay, that was a lot of work, but a lot of income. Now I can use that, reinvest that into fixing the course, making it better, reinvesting it into something else, however you want to go about that. The downside of live though, is that it feels a little bit like a circus. It feels like a hamster wheel. And I can see how if I did that too much, it would get exhausting. So with this new version of Freelancing Freedom 2.0, what it will become, whatever it will become, and you will be witnessing that in real time behind the scenes, I'm not entirely sure the model that I would use. I know that I'm going to be incorporating live because I love doing live. If I just had evergreen stuff happening in the background, I feel like I would be out of touch with you guys and not knowing really where people are at. And that would reflect in sales. People would go, nah, this guy's not even there. Like he's not even a part of this. It's just kind of a machine. And don't get me wrong, you do want passive income generating machines in your business. So there are probably, even with version 2.0 of this, maybe stage 1 and 2, are individual courses that are evergreen, available at any time because you're a beginner at any time. And you don't need this really big, hurrah, live webinar, 1 week open cart twice a year to say, you're trying to get started as a freelancer. Here's a good course for you. Or you're in the next stage. Here's a good course for you. But as you get into maybe a higher level, stage 3, stage 4, those might require more live engagement interaction. And the other benefit is, you also answered it there, is I suspect you're able to help and be more available to students. So when you join up in that 1 week window that I'm open, I know that you're all in the same stage. So when I do a live stream about, a specific part of the beginning of the course, people are on the same page. So it's easy for taking people through a journey. Alea says, I don't think Freelancing Freedom Masterclass would have evolved if it was not live and not knowing what students' needs were. Exactly. Everything that I've been able to create with Freelancing Freedom and Masterclass is because I was available witnessing the entire thing live in real time. So I can go, this is the direction it needs to go. So I'm not going to be making away with live and getting rid of it because I love live, hence what I'm doing right now. And it's a really impressive sales generator. And you get to be in touch with your audience. But having a balance with something evergreen that can generate sales every day versus twice a year is also very, very nice. So for me, this product is not passive. It's really not. It's a very active part of my income. But things like essentials, other courses, other products, other sales machines, those create sales on a daily basis. And then you have client work on top of that, should I want it. Let me see here. Mike, I totally get it. It allows you to throw your energy into it. Exactly. I hope that was a sufficient question. Sufficient answer to your question. Pardon me. Aurelian, yes, I find your content very valuable about this stuff. When is the course available? How much does it cost? I see there's a webinar in 2 days. Is that an opening? The webinar you're seeing is Essentials. I strongly suggest you actually check out Essentials. That's where it seems like you're at. So check out Essentials, freelancingfreedom.com. You will see the webinar, Aurelian. Okay, let's jump into another question here as we close in on the hour. Do you have any additional suggestions for figuring out my perfect client avatar profile? I tend to use detailed research as an avoidance technique. Because of that, I get very stuck and lost in the weeds in that part of the course. Good question. For whoever this is, I hope that you've used the type form that I've created, that craft your dream client type form. Perhaps you can go back to that module and go to that link. If you haven't done that already, I strongly suggest you do that. If you have and you're using it as an excuse to not actually move forward, and you're looking for ways to procrastinate, then we're talking about a different problem. So there's a part of crafting your perfect client that is very important and a part of it that is not necessary at all. So when you're starting out, you're just figuring out what you're trying to do. You're throwing it up all on the wall, seeing what sticks, and then going with what sticks and then refining from there. So right now, if you're at stage 1, you might not really need to know who your perfect client is. So just get some clients and see who it is that you attract based on what you offer. So you don't need to reposition your whole business and go, I need a totally new business. You just need to reposition your offer. If no one is biting at this offer, reposition your offer. Change the wording. Change the way that it's positioned. Change the way you communicate the problem it solves. Solve a different problem. Explore that. Is it a retainer? Is it one-to-one real-time service? These are things that you can talk about and explore. And then reposition your offer and see the types of clients that you attract. And in Aaron's case, he was getting lots of different types of clients for lots of different types of things. From there, you can start to determine which clients you like working with, which clients pay more, which clients are difficult, all these sorts of things. And then you can go, I kind of like this route. Let's start to reposition my offer to cater more specifically towards these people. So also try not to procrastinate. Don't procrastinate. The way you stop procrastinating is you make a goal. You have a task that you're trying to complete. So for you, maybe it's getting client 1. You're finding ways to avoid it. You're procrastinating with anything you're procrastinating about. Break what you have to do to achieve that step or that goal, accomplish that task, into really, really small tasks, like stupid small tasks. I've heard someone say, if you don't like flossing your teeth tonight, just floss 1. Just go like this, and that's it. You'll realize how easy that was, and you'll just do the second one. And then you go, yeah, okay. And you're flossing your teeth. The next night, floss 2 teeth, and then repeat the process. So with your business, break your thing that you're trying to accomplish down into really, really stupid small tasks, something that would take you 1 minute to complete. After that, you'll realize I can move on to the next step. All right, maybe I'll finish 5 of these steps. They're really simple anyway. And now you're not procrastinating and looking at this gigantic task that you're trying to overcome. You're actually just doing small steps. And make that a win. Journal it. Write it down. This is what I did today. I feel good about that. Validate yourself. Hope that helps. Mary Jo, how many times is the Freelancing Freedom open in a year? In the past, twice a year. Moving forward, I'm not sure, because with this new change that we're doing, we might not just have Essentials and Masterclass. Those two might be absorbed into stage 1, 2, 3, and 4 and be four entirely different products, 2 different products. I don't know. So I'm not really sure. This is me working in public and me being a bit transparent. So that I'm not sure. Probably an element of my offers within Freelancing Freedom will always be available, but maybe other ones will only be on a scheduled live basis. So not really sure yet, but in the past, twice a year. But like I said, it's going to be changing moving forward. But I don't know what that looks like yet. So as I move forward and learn these things, I would be happy to share my behind the scenes with you. Lori says, thank you, Brad. Cool. Looks like I answered your question. Okay, let's see if I can get a couple more questions in here before the hour is done. Okay, so this will be a quick question for me to answer. I was wondering if you're familiar with Firebase, which is code you can install into your website, allows users to log in and out. Is there any plugin that is better than this? I'm currently looking for something to install for this. Any help? I'm going to basically say that the way I answer coding questions in here, or any specific questions, is the tech doesn't matter. The specific route doesn't matter. If it solves the problem and that's the thing your client needs, go that way. Doesn't matter the way you go about it. And that's whether you are a web developer, you are a designer, you are a consultant, you are anything in the service-based freelancing business realm. Even product-based. If someone asks me, should I use Teachable or Thinkific for, building my course? I go, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Both are good for these reasons. These are the reasons why you wouldn't want to go with them. So honestly, I wish I could just tell you, do this and go, use Firebase and go all in on it. Honestly, if that's it within your niche and that's something that you're going to be using in every single project, a specific skill, a specific code, a specific language, then great. But again, you're saying it allows users to log in and out. Why not WordPress? Why not build a site with WordPress that your client can then, if they don't want to work with you in the future, they can pass on to a different developer. It's easy to update, scalable. It's an easy route. You can infinitely customize it. So, that's just kind of try and take the entrepreneur's approach versus the developer's approach. Remember, I'm trying to create entrepreneurs and business owners here versus just high-level, hard skills people. So I hope that answers your question or gives you a bit of a direction. I know it doesn't specifically answer your question, but I hope it gives you a little bit of a direction to know. Get your heads out of the weeds a little bit. You're looking at all the details. You're not going to be able to see the forest for the trees. Step back a bit and go, what am I doing? What am I solving? And whatever way gets you there, don't worry about the details. And that's relevant to everybody here in your specific skill and business. Okay. Another question here will be the last question that is submitted. And if anyone has any last minute commentary that you want me to answer before we close up, feel free to. Okay. Mike says, I'm launching 2 new websites, a single page for my freelance web and graphic business and a niche business for my bloggers to learn to narrate their blog posts. My 2 years, I've been narrating blog posts on my website, mikewriting.com, and the niche site will let me pass on my technical wisdom. Basically, let me nerd out on blog building, audio recording, etc. In addition to these 2 websites, I'm rebuilding my primary blog from scratch. Question is, should I be taking on clients or treat myself as a client until my projects are viable? Should I focus on my launches primarily? Sounds like, Mike, you're doing a lot of things. Sounds like you're doing a lot of different things, and totally fine. You're allowed to do different things and explore different avenues and play around. You're allowed to play. You're allowed to explore, but try and have a primary focus. And if you are not getting clients because you think that you need to get yourself to a certain level before you can say, I'm good enough to get clients, I'm worthy enough to get clients, or, my clients will think I'm a little bit more professional once I get to this level, then you're simply using that as an excuse to not put yourself out there. I am confident that I can take almost anybody off the street, first of all, if they have a desire to build their own business, and then talk to them, ask them some basic questions, go a little bit deep in some things, and then give them a basic script and direction to get a client that very week. I've done that in my webinars. Here's a script. Most of you here want to start a freelance business. Here's a script, post it on your Facebook page. Ta-da, there's your first client. How easy was that? If you thought that was cool, wait until we really get into this. So you can get a client like that. There's no reason why you shouldn't be getting clients right away. Everybody here should be trying to get clients right away. Unless you are at the very beginning of stage 1, in which case there's a very small window where you're not getting clients. You're just trying to understand yourself first, and then you're getting clients. Getting clients happens almost right away. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be, because you're not offering, let's be honest here, you're not offering this high-level, high-end premium service yet. You're going to be starting with beginner clients. You start this beginner game with beginner clients. Those beginner clients aren't going to go, Mike, you fraud. You're going to look at them and go, you're getting a $300 website, fool. What do you expect? They expect a $300 website, or they expect a $300 service, or they expect a $300 value. They're just penny pinching here. So they're beginner clients. They're really valuable, and they really level you up. They're milestones. They're your founding clients. They're really important, what they signal. But you're starting from the beginning. So don't let things get in the way of just starting. So you're doing a lot of things. I love audio recording. I've been spending time in the last little bit recording kind of music and playing around with software. It's fun. I love it. But I also have my priorities and go, okay, that's enough of that right now. I'll come back to it and enjoy myself. Same with woodworking. I gave myself a little bit of time today to do some woodworking, get a little bit of sawdust. You probably saw my picture on my Facebook page with my respirator and all the stuff. I enjoy those things, Sure, I'd love to sell some cutting boards, make up some cutting boards and sell them at a farmer's market. But is that going to pay the mortgage? Nope. So maybe when I retire, I'll buy a shop and then I'll do that for fun in my old age. But prioritize. And I'm not saying, you can't go down different routes and explore. You're allowed to go in the audio recording niche. Maybe you can build a business around that. Maybe you can build a business around your writing or these other things that you're exploring. You're allowed to do that. But follow what matters to you, that also aligns with what people want, that also aligns with what people will pay for. Alea, maybe you can find, there's a graphic. This is going to be a hard search for you, but you're pretty amazing, so you'll find it. It's a Venn diagram that says like your skills, your passion, what you love to do, what people will pay you for. And it overlaps as a Venn diagram does and shows like, your career, your passion. But right in the center with everything overlapping, that's your vocation, if I'm not mistaken. And that's where you want to really focus. That's something that's going to feed your soul. It's going to feed your heart. It's going to feed your family. It's going to create and help your clients. It's going to really, really give you that mission that you can stand behind, that you could show up for every day. And it might be something that you're surprised about, or it might be the obvious choice. But it's a Venn diagram that, maybe you Google vocation Venn diagram. You might be able to find it. So with that, Mike and everybody here, there's a good bit of making excuses, says Mike. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. That, I think, folks, concludes my Office Hours Live for this week. I hope that was valuable for you. We had some nice questions there. I really liked that. Bond says, do you have a freelance course? Yes. Check out freelancingfreedom.com. And there will be a free webinar for you to check out to get you started. Mike, it's logical. That helps. Thanks. Good. I'm glad I was able to help. So again, like I said, I'm going to conclude our office hours. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for showing up this week. This was really fun. I like this. Do you guys like the office hours? Do you think this is something that was a good choice for us to do away with hot seats and make a more consistent, regular, weekly, 30 minutes to 60 minutes is the scheduled time for these office hours for me to help you out and do some live coaching, answer your questions. There we go. Alea posted the link. Cool. I love doing these, so I really appreciate it. Awesome. Okay. Thank you, everybody. I really appreciate your time. Happy Thursday. And make sure you show up next time for next week as well. Submit your questions. I love your questions. Put them in the type form. So if you go to the link in the description of this live stream, you're going to see the link for the Office Hours Live. It's going to be at the same page, the same place here, YouTube Live, but the type form where you submit your questions. I love your questions. No questions too hard or too weird. Put them in there so that next week we have another 5 or 10 questions to go through. I love doing these. People say, I really like this. Thumbs up. Yes, enjoyed it. Thanks, Brad. I appreciate the office hours. Thanks for making it on Thursday. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate you. Go be with your families. Enjoy your Friday tomorrow and show up every day. I need to come up with like a really cool, how people close up their YouTube videos and their course videos or whatever, and they have like a motto. They say like, make stuff, do this, and follow your passion. Peace. I mean, that one was lame, but they have a thing. So I'm going to have to come up with something really cool. I'll work on it. Open to suggestions too. So for now, thank you, everybody. Cheers. And I will catch you next Thursday and throughout the week. Bye now.